Statistics on DUIs and DWIs, the human cost of drunk and impaired driving, Part 1. 10,784 persons died as a result of drunk drivers with BACs of 0.08% in 2017 throughout the United States. In 68% of these fatalities, the motorist had a blood alcohol content of at least 0.15%. Our nation still has a long way to go despite the advancements made since the passage of the Minimum Drinking Age Act and the reduction in the permitted alcohol consumption while driving limit. Another person perishes needlessly at the hands of an intoxicated motorist every 48 minutes on average. Over the past 2 decades, alcohol impairment has been a contributing factor in around 1/3 of all traffic-related fatalities. That translates to hundreds of thousands of wholly avoidable fatalities and millions of lives devastated by the loss of friends, spouses, kids, parents, and siblings. Fatalities involving alcohol, by state. The percentage of fatal traffic accidents that are brought on by alcohol impairment roughly mirrors the national average from state to state. The percentage of road deaths brought on by intoxicated drivers is significantly greater in places where alcohol awareness is still lagging behind. The states with the highest mortality toll are shown in these statistics from 2017. 43% in Connecticut, 120 deaths. 40% for North Dakota, 46 deaths. 41% for Rhode Island, 34 deaths. 39% in Hawaii, 42 deaths. Texas, 39%, 1,468 deaths. 6% Wyoming, 44 deaths. 10% California, 1,120 deaths. Even though these numbers are shocking, they still do not adequately capture the scope of the drunk driving crisis in our country. According to estimates from the Federal Bureau of Investigation, 1,017,808 drivers were detained for driving while intoxicated or under the influence of narcotics in 2016. What's more alarming is that the average drunk driver is believed to have operated a vehicle while intoxicated 80 times or more before being arrested. Simply put, law enforcement authorities cannot handle the issue on their own. Individual drivers must be made aware of the dangers of drinking and driving and make the decision to refrain from doing so if the human cost of alcohol-impaired driving is to be reduced. Risk of fatal collision. According to studies, there is a markedly increased probability of being in a deadly collision when drinking and driving. The danger increases as BAC increases. A 0.05% BAC increases the chance of a fatal collision by 5 times. The chance of a fatal collision increases 9 times with a BAC of 0.08%. A BAC of 0.15 increases the probability of a fatal collision by 20. Despite how frequently it happens, being involved in a fatal crash does not always entail the drivers actually perished. Tragically, accidents involving drunk drivers regularly result in the deaths of innocent bystanders. Pedestrians, other drivers, or passengers who are riding with a drunk driver are sometimes the victims of these accidents. Of the 10,784 fatalities caused by drunk driving in 2017, the drunk motorist was directly responsible for 61% of fatalities. Vehicle occupants accounted for 28% of fatalities, 14% of whom were companions of the drunk driver. Non-occupants such as walkers and bikers made approximately 11% of the fatalities. There is a very good possibility that you will end your own life or take the life of someone dear to you if you cause a deadly automobile accident while intoxicated. Even if you murder a total stranger on the street, you will be responsible for that person's death for the rest of your life. Who bears the cost? To protect occupants of the vehicle during a collision, modern cars are constructed with cutting-edge safety devices including seatbelts, front and rear crumple zones, and airbags. These precautions can help prevent fatalities and serious injuries in low to moderate speed collisions, but they won't help you if you're flying down the road at 60, 70, or 80 miles per hour. Driving when intoxicated frequently results in unsafe speeds and greatly reduces one's ability to handle a vehicle. Driving under the influence will almost certainly result in a serious accident. Furthermore, these safety features offer little protection to those who are outside the car. Sadly, the most vulnerable road users frequently end up paying the price for someone else's drunk driving error. A drunk driver in a 3,000 kilograms metal box has little chance against cyclists, motorcyclists, or pedestrians. Of the 10,497 traffic fatalities caused by alcohol that happened in 2016, 1,600 of the victims were motorcyclists. 807 people walked. 91 people rode bikes. Keep in mind that when you get behind the wheel, you need to be thinking about more than just your safety and the safety of other drivers. Pedestrians, cyclists, and other vulnerable road users without an enclosed vehicle to protect them in the case of a collision are likely to be encountered along the way. Statistics on DUIs and DWIs, the human cost of drunk and impaired driving, Part 2. People who live near or on the road are particularly exposed to drunk or drug driving accidents and frequently sustain catastrophic injuries or lose their lives as a result. For illustration, long hours are spent working on the road or close to it by construction workers. To protect them against drunk drivers, high-visibility jackets, barriers, and warning signs are frequently ineffectual. In order to guide traffic, traffic control staff and crossing guards must stand in the middle of the road. Emergency medical care is frequently provided by paramedics to accident victims on or near the road. Keep in mind that driving while intoxicated increases your risk of colliding with pedestrians and construction workers, since you will be less aware of your surroundings and may not spot them until it is too late. Your reaction time will also be significantly slower. Even if you see a pedestrian up ahead, you might not be able to slow down the car quickly enough to prevent running into them. Groups at risk: young individuals, motorcyclists, and drivers with prior DUI or DWI convictions are the most likely to die in alcohol-impaired road accidents, according to the Center for Disease Control, CDC. Children under the age of 14 are commonly hurt by drunk drivers. 220 kids lost their lives in drunk driving accidents in 2017. Due to their propensity to operate a vehicle while inebriated, those between the ages of 21 and 24 are among the most likely to die in a drunk driving accident. Statistical data suggests that men are twice as likely to get behind the wheel while intoxicated than women, making them far more likely to die in an alcohol-impaired crash. The expense of drug driving. Drug driving's exact effects are not yet fully known. According to the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration, fewer than 50% of drivers involved in fatal accidents have their drug use checked. Around 30% of those who are tested had drugs in their system, which equates to 6,000 drivers annually. However, the true number of drug-impaired drivers engaged in fatal accidents is probably far higher than this because many drivers receive no drug testing at all. Many drugs, both legal and illicit, only appear in blood tests. Due to the sheer number of substances, it is impossible to test for everyone that might be a sedative or euphoric in every situation. Drug-impaired drivers are involved in 2/3 of fatal crashes in which there are deaths. Comparing driving while intoxicated with alcohol alone to driving while intoxicated with narcotics appears to significantly increase your risk of death. Approximately 4,000 drivers who have drugs in their systems are killed in crashes every year. This is probably due to the severity of drug-impaired crashes, which commonly entail high speeds, total loss of control, and off-road collisions. Statistics on DUIs and DWIs, the human cost of drunk and impaired driving, Part 3. Injury and damage to property. A drunk driving event does not always result in death. According to the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration, NHTSA, incidents involving drunk drivers result in about 800 injuries daily. That works out to 300,000 people annually, or 1 every 2 minutes. This number covers a wide range of injuries, from simple scrapes and scratches to crippling ones including brain injury, limb loss, facial deformity, and paralysis. Many individuals who are lucky enough to avoid dying in an alcohol-related collision go on to live with physical and/or mental impairments. Even accidents caused by drunk driving in which no one was hurt can have a lasting impact on a person's life. People who were engaged in the collision may experience mental health issues like anxiety and post-traumatic stress disorder, PTSD, which have an adverse effect on their happiness and prevent them from fully experiencing life. You'll probably have to deal with the following if you were the motorist who caused the crash that was caused by alcohol: settling court fees, fines, and victim damages, loss of your driving privileges, further sanctions, such as jail time. You could face financial hardship for the rest of your life if your careless conduct resulted in someone being hurt or property being damaged. You can lose your job if you don't have a license. You can even discover that your college applications are turned down or that you are expelled from school. Even if no one is hurt or killed, that one careless choice to get behind the wheel after drinking might easily wreck the rest of your life. The financial impact of drunk driving. Drunk driving is a costly issue. Mothers Against Drunk Driving, MADD, estimates that drunk driving costs the U.S. economy $199 billion annually. This calculated economic cost consists of medical expenses, damage to property, immediate access to medical care, law-related costs, productivity decline, costs of congestion, administration of insurance. These are observable and concrete expenses associated with drunk driving. While $200 billion may seem like a significant sum of money, it is insufficient to capture the entire losses to our nation's quality of life and happiness that arise from drunk driving. The annual economic cost of drunk driving exceeds $800 billion when the societal toll of mental damage, severe injury, and fatalities is considered.